Everyone, welcome back to the Last Movie Run podcast. I'm your host, Josh Gilliam. I'm joined, as always, he's back by Alex Cantor.
I am back. How's it going, guys?
So today we're talking about, get this, Marvel Zombies.
Also, that how's it going was rhetorical. I'm talking to the void and Josh.
Good. Yeah, we're talking about. I thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. Just to be clear, we're talking about Marvel Zombies. That's what we're talking about.
No new movies this past 2 weeks that came out that we were like, damn, we got to watch that. But just in time for October, Marvel Zombies has come out, and I thought it was pretty
Although I
good.
will say that we later found out that One Battle After Another, that Leonardo DiCaprio movie, apparently is really good. So
Yeah, so you did send me that, and you're like, apparently this is like a 10 out of 10. I was like, damn.
yeah, and then I watched Marvel Zombies.
And here we're
So
watching Marvel Zombies, and Leonardo DiCaprio is just doing what Leo does, dating a 25-year-old and dumping her at 26.
I think
All
that's the
right.
plot of the movie, actually. No, I have no idea.
They should just make Scorsese should make a Leonardo DiCaprio movie where it's like a rom-com, but he keeps dumping 26-year-olds and
Okay,
uh,
Marvel Zombies.
Marvel Zombies. So we're going to do our spoiler-free review as always. Then we're going to get into major spoilers and we'll give you our honest opinions on it. So, Alex, what'd you think of this?
My honest opinion. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. It was good TV. Short, only 4 episodes, but and I liked what they did. I like when writers. It feels like the writers have the freedom to do whatever they want because you put it in another universe, right? So that was fun.
Yeah, this was not at all tied down to anything. This wasn't tied down to what Marvel Zombies is in the comics. This wasn't tied down to the MCU. We start off with Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop, and Riri Williams, and they gotta save the world. And like you said, it's only 4 episodes. To me, it felt a little too short. Like it should have been maybe
Yeah,
five.
yeah, you're right. I think it could have maybe been 5. But I mean, what I'll say is that I have read the Marvel Zombies comics.
No,
I
have you
think it's
really?
a I don't know if I like the premise of Marvel Zombies. It's just like I don't know. It just takes the hero out of the hero. It's kind of a stupid premise. You take away all their agency and just make them want to eat people, and then it's like a what if scenario, basically, right?
Yeah.
From that series. But although I think it's just them sort of power scaling and being able to, the first run, what they eat Galactus and then proceed to just sort of eat everything and then come back and
Yeah.
whatever. But I liked what they did with the show. It was different from the comics enough that, and although there are zombies, that's the obvious premise. They did some pretty cool character stuff, which I felt that some of the comics haven't super been able to do because, what can you do with zombies? But yeah, so I like the show, is what I'll say. Even though I'm not sold on the premise of Marvel Zombies as like a plot. I liked what they did with the show.
Yeah. I feel like if it was this, and I will get into it later, but I do think they'll be doing a second season. Um, I feel like if they do 1 or 2 seasons of this, like that's good. Marvel Zombies keeps coming back in the comics. Like they will not stop making those. And at a certain point, like you're right, it is a power scaling thing where it just keeps getting more ludicrous and more absurd. And it's like that first initial run was kind of groundbreaking for what it did in the comics. And now they've actually just released a Marvel Zombies, like a red band version of it.
Yes, yeah. I haven't read it, but I saw
It's,
the comic.
it's just Marvel Zombies again. It's fine. But this this show, like I said, I think one more episode would have done this, especially towards the end. They really kind of crammed some shit in there. And like this is off the back of the What If show that Marvel put out. And
Hmm.
we
I mean,
don't,
yeah, I know what you're saying. I think they could have had another episode, but I think the one of the reasons why I liked it more than some of the Marvel Zombies comic runs was that although maybe it felt a bit crammed, they did stuff that wasn't just Marvel Zombies. Um, and again, we're not talking about spoilers yet, but like there's other things going on that they tie into sort of the fallout from a zombie apocalypse, but there's interesting side plots. It also, yeah, it felt like a really long episode of What If, and I liked What If,
Yeah,
so I
agree.
was, all for it. And I like that they leaned into the survivor aspect more, which is a part of the comics that I like. Like the first comic run, I like the, part where it talks about them building the civilization, with Black Panther. Um, the rest of it is just like the various heroes talking about how much they want to eat each other and then making them look evil. Here, the zombies, with some exceptions, don't really talk all that much. They're just there to be, cool. What if your, favorite hero was a zombie and they're super overpowered? But plot wise and character development wise, they really leaned into um, highlighting some, you know, in the large scale of Marvel, some side characters. Um, yeah, think that I had a lot of freedom because they're using these side characters. Also, it's a whole nother universe, so who cares what they do? So they got to do some fun stuff with it, and playing into the survivor aspect more, I think, made the show for me. I think if they leaned too much into the zombie thing and who is a zombie, I don't think I would have liked it as much. Not to say that they don't lean into that, but I like that sort of the mentality and the how people would survive and what different side characters would be doing in this world that they sort of create for you in the show.
Yeah, no, agreed. I do think they strike a really good balance of like mostly survivors and not a lot of zombies. Not, it's kind of, you know what it kind of reminds me of, and it's because I just finished the game last night, is The Last of Us with Marvel characters, and I think that worked really well.
Yeah, yeah, because The Last of Us has, the mushroom people, but then also um, a lot of it is about survivors interacting with each other, which is what this was about too. It wasn't just survivors versus zombies. I don't know. This is seen in like the very first, I think, issue of Marvel Zombies, where it's all the villains, or not villains, all the heroes as zombies discussing what they want to do next. And then Iron Man or Captain America or someone is like, we should take a Quinjet over uh like middle America or take it out west or something, and maybe some people will think we're survivors and come out and then we'll eat. Anyway, it just felt like and I guess that's what they're trying to do. It's groundbreaking at the time. They just like butcher all your favorite Marvel heroes, which I didn't like. But I don't think they did that as much in this. They have famous heroes and characters from both the comics and the MCU get turned into zombies. That's no big secret, I don't think.
No,
But they don't like butcher their characterization when they do it. They sort of take their agency away from them and then they're just zombies. That's what they are, or they're mind controlled or whatever. But they don't make the what I think was a mistake in the comics of just making them straight up like evil, talking to each other about how to kill the most people, which is not even something you wanted to hear Iron Man talking to Captain America about.
fair.
Unless if you do like that kind of thing, then again, maybe you really enjoyed the Marvel Zombies comics. But I preferred how they treated it in the show, is what I'll say.
Yeah. No, I think this was really good. I would say really my only critique is one, this follows Kamala Khan. And honestly, I'm kind of at the point in and it's not the MCU's fault, it's comics' fault. Kamala Khan is kind of like constantly shoved down our throats
I'll say
recently.
I never watched um the TV show, or was it a
Yeah.
movie that she was
No, it
in?
was the
TV
TV
show.
show.
Yeah, I never watched that. So I haven't seen, and I have not read any comics with Kamala Khan. So this was my first, besides watching some trailers, I guess,
You know,
introduction to her. So I didn't mind it.
she, well, great. Good for you.
Yeah, this is
I
where we
know
disagree. Fight
I
it
know
out.
for me, she's been in the show, she was in the movie. I don't think the MCU has really
I also didn't see the
overused her.
Marvels, so I didn't see her in that either.
Okay, yeah, she was in her show, then she was in the Marvels, which I think is fine. You know, she's not an in prominent character like I said, Marvel's been shoving her down our throats, so she's in a lot of shit in the comics. So I understand the MCU wanting to use her. I didn't love the show. I didn't mind the Marvels. No one liked the Marvels, but I thought it was pretty good. And now she's the lead in this, but she had a prominent role in that. Remember the Avengers game that came out that no one fucking liked because it was always online?
No, I didn't hear about this.
Really? That was years ago at this point, but she was like a big
Oh,
focus
I
in
do
that
remember
game.
this. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 I do. Because I remember seeing lots of ads for it. It was like, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
she was
yeah,
in
and then I
that.
remember hearing nothing about it after it got released.
And it's because it tanked immediately. Um, yeah, she was in that. She in the comics is currently an X-Man for some reason. They turned around because I think everyone was getting tired of her, and they were like, the X-Men fandom hasn't really said anything about her, and they were like, ooh, before she got transformed by her whatever transformed her, she would have been a mutant. So actually, she's a mutant, and people are like, "Fuck it,
I
why?"
see. Yeah, I guess maybe you're seeing a lot more of her, so you are, yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense. I
Yeah.
guess I liked it because maybe if you view it as they're trying to set her up for whatever the next phase of the MCU is, um, yeah, I can see how you'd be like, okay, this again. But I liked it because for me, at least, it was a relatively unknown character. Um, and yeah, it was just like a kid dealing with the zombie apocalypse. And because at least or the depiction of Kamala Khan at the start of this show, uh, they get to do a lot of character development with her. You know, you can't do the
Mhm.
same like character development of like, seeing losing loved ones or whatever through zombie apocalypse. I feel with an established Avenger like Thor or Captain America or Iron Man or something like that, because like at this point in how Marvel has sort of done its both comic and you know cinematic universes, they're like so established that they kind of show up to save the day. They've had lots of character development, so you can't start over. So I like that they did someone used a character that you can sort of start from the bottom by having them be maybe not relatively unknown as I thought if they're showing up in lots of other stuff. But I don't think you could have told the same story with a more established. I don't mean established in the sort of. Kamala Khan has existed for a long time
Yeah. No,
in
I
the
get what
comics.
you're saying.
I mean,
Like,
established in the sort of how, uh, as a
even the
hero or
yeah, and say
age-wise, maturity-wise.
even in the comics, she's still like a teenager. So I get what you're
Exactly. If
saying.
Iron
Like,
Man was in that story, it would in this show, it would have gone
mhm.
totally differently.
Yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with that. They could have done it like that. But um yeah, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much.
I get what you're saying. I think my problem with it is because this exists in the same what if thing as the what if show. Um, we had Spider-Man in that, and I thought Spider-Man was such a good entry point character. Like he had his like rules to survive the zombie apocalypse. And when we see him later on, it almost made me wish that they focused more on that side of that story.
And that's where I think
This.
another episode could have come in because they
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
pivot a lot from the zombie thing, which, like I said, is something I like. But they, because they also do all this character building, the setting up of the world, which is something else that I like, they sort of have to pull a bunch of storylines together and bring in characters like Spider-Man later on in the show. Um, and then, yeah, you feel like they aren't as developed as you like them to be. I kind of like their depiction of Peter Parker in the show, and I wish we could have seen more of him. Um,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah, you're right. I think another episode in the end to bring out those characters um, would have been cool. I
yeah.
totally.
And I think the cast in this is really good. Like, and those characters they chose, there's nothing against them. I feel like Kamala Khan maybe shouldn't have been the lead. She should have been like, should have been there, but I don't know, like front and center. But
I
yeah,
mean, with all these like, with some exceptions, right? You've changed Shang-Chi, but with all these side characters that they do sort of pull from the cinematic universe. Um, you It makes it much more powerful, first of all,
Mm.
when Avengers show up.
Yeah.
Um, and also I don't think with any of the other characters that they had, you would have had the same moral complexities of a big, and we're not talking about spoilers, but a big decision that Kamala Khan had to make.
Hmm.
Like, I think some of the other characters have, you can understand why she makes the decision that she does,
Yeah,
the
that's fair.
decisions that she makes throughout the show, and the decision that she makes at the end,
Hmm.
which makes the some of the plot and some of the twists much more impactful. Um, because you're like, yeah, maybe I would have done that. That's a really tough thing. What would you do there? But if you had someone else, these heroes are supposed to be better than you. You know, like I could never be Iron Man. I could never make the sacrifice. I can never be Spider-Man. I can never make the sacrifices he does. I can never, etc. Um, so you were just being like, yeah, they'll just make the right decision even if it's tough because that's who they are. But because you have this character who's really just a kid, right? You get to make it more difficult and also have the audience understand it more, I think. That's
That's
my
fair.
sort of sounding out of what I think is going on there and why I think I liked it. Because I think maybe I mean, pretty obviously, right? Um, there's some decisions in there that maybe went the right way, some decisions that went the wrong way. But you can look at it and be like, oh, don't do that, do this. And then, Thor would just do the right thing, perhaps, maybe.
Mm.
But it makes it more complex when you have someone who can be fallible and is learning to be a hero and is developing their powers over the course of the show. And it's a different universe, different character than the other Kamala Khan. So I don't know what their depiction is like. X-Men are another one apparently, but anyway, that's I think that it worked quite well because she's constantly doubting herself, which another hero wouldn't do. Riri Williams wouldn't do that, right? She's
Hmm.
got, you know, her whole like ego super smart thing. Um, maybe Kate Bishop wouldn't have doubted herself a little more too, but she kind of got over that in Hawkeye in the show. None of the other side characters. Maybe you could bring in like someone else entirely, but who in the MCU right now are you going to bring in who the audience might be kind of familiar enough to be like, okay, I know who this is, but they're not, they're like, oh, I understand that they'll make the wrong decisions and
Yeah.
you're there more with the character. I don't think there's anyone. But
Yeah, there is kind of that too, because I also really couldn't name anyone.
like in the MCU now you have Spider-Man. No, he's just like, he sacrifices his most recent depiction in the movies is him sacrificing everyone remembering him to make the right decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are all these people who are making all the right decisions out there who are infallible, who are building it to be these big heroes. And I think you're new enough with Kamala Khan that she can fail and it's okay and you feel that. And so I think that that's why it works so well. Part of why it works so well. There's a lot of other elements in the show that work really well.
Yeah, this
Animation for one, that's really good.
the animation was really smooth in this. It is
Uh,
that what if style animation. One thing
yes,
I
that
meant to
last episode, that punch, you know what I'm talking about.
mhm,
Crazy.
that was good. Real quick, we will move into major spoilers in just a second. The one thing that was like big hype for this was the first time we got Mahershala Ali's Blade, who
Yeah, and
was
not how I expected either.
no, he was really good in this.
Yeah, he was awesome, man. I mean,
Yeah.
can we move into spoilers to say a bit more about him? I can't remember what shows up in the trailers.
Well, it is like all over the marketing stuff that he is Moon Knight right
Yes,
now.
it's so badass. The whole thing. It's like exactly what you want from a Blade who is Moon Knight. It's just
Yeah.
like locked in, straight-faced, badass.
Yeah. I love this, and it makes me wish Marvel would stop dragging their feet on his Blade movie because at this point he's going to age out of the role. He's getting old. And I don't want to see that happen. I want them to do a couple things with Blade. All right, major spoilers, everyone. If you haven't watched Marvel Zombies, go do it because I think it's genuinely worth your time. Was quite good,
I agree.
but
Wait, do we give it like, I don't know,
oh my
one
gosh,
out of
you're right.
three zombies or whatever?
Out of three half of a Captain America zombies, how many
Yeah,
do you
okay.
give it?
That's good. I give it three. I enjoyed it, man. I watched like all four episodes in one night, so
I also give it a three. I started watching it before I had to go to work in the afternoon, and then
then he
at
skipped work.
work I
Oh,
kept
at work.
watching it.
Get this man fired.
They'll never touch me. I was in the break room. It's in the break room. Off company time.
Okay, major spoiler. What do you want to talk about?
Well, check this out. Check this out. I want to keep talking about Blade Moon Knight because that show was really good, especially when they hit the Asgardian New Asgard
Yes.
and he's like,
And Conchi comes out.
and Khonshu comes out and he's like, "What the fuck? I am
Well,
a god.
first
Let me in
he's like, you don't know who you're fucking with.
here." I love that. And then Khonshu comes out, and just the voice of Khonshu in the MCU is such a massive like. It's so different from Blades.
Hmm.
I found it really funny when he's like, "You don't know who you're talking to. Maybe I am a god." And then
Yes.
Khonshu comes out, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
And then him just like slicing up Taskmaster, not Taskmaster, Ghost,
That was really good.
zombie.
Yeah,
Yes. Anyway, I think although at the end he just gets lit up by Thor to show how badass Thor is,
yeah.
I don't think it was like a cheap death. You know, I think it was still a good
No.
characterization of him. It wasn't
Hmm.
like, oh, they use this guy to show how powerful someone else is. I was like, you know, he's around for quite a while. And he
Yeah.
did some good, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the animation style when people get fucking vaporized in this is also insane.
Yes.
Because this is the first like TV MA thing Marvel has ever done. So when people get vaporized and you see their skeleton, shit's
Yes.
actually
That is
crazy.
crazy.
I love that. And no, you're right.
I like that you have Red Guardian in this. That's another character. Um, I
Red
enjoy seeing.
Guardian
I
having
don't
the
know.
worst
He just
time.
keeps showing up and everything, and it's great.
Yeah, but David Harbour does Red Guardian really well, and I think Marvel knows they got something with that, so they just keep bringing him back
Just
into
keep
things.
chucking him and stuff. Even
Um,
though, yeah, yeah.
I was a little surprised to see the mom from Black Widow come back in this, even though she didn't even make it through the episode she was introduced in. But
Yes. Neither
honestly, I
did
was
the rest of the Black Widows.
the way the Black Widow movie seems to be like pushed to the side from Marvel. I was genuinely surprised to see her come
Yeah, they're
back
using
in
a
this.
lot of, I mean, Yelena as well, right?
Yeah,
So,
well, they took Yelena and Red Guardian. They were like, none of that other shit happened. They fucking murked Taskmaster the minute they could in
hmm.
Thunderbolts. So, you know,
All right. I think we're rambling. We got to lock in. So, from the beginning, I think, you know, spoiler wise, and something I want to talk about generally about the show, I thought that Riri and Kate Bishop were gonna magically appear at the end. I was like, they're not really dead. They wouldn't really do that. And then people just sort of kept dying, and I was like, maybe they, maybe they are doing that.
mm,
You know, they are killing off people. And then, but I
yeah,
was still like, you know, these two people from the first, you didn't see them die on screen, so they aren't really dead. And you get to the end, and then Wanda is like showing her dead friends, you know, um,
yeah.
and I'm like, holy shit, they did die. Which, you know, there is also a sort of very end thing where it
We'll
turns
get
out
to
they
that.
didn't to begin
No,
with.
you're
I was
right.
right.
This,
I called it episode one. But again, because it's a different universe and they can mess around and do what they want.
yeah,
But they didn't like I said, it's with Blade, with with Red Guardian, with Lee Elena, with all the Black Widows, they didn't cheapen any of the deaths. They still gave screen time and weight to those deaths, which I thought was
yeah.
a good thing to do. Even though
This,
you're messing around with characters that only exist in this universe, or these depictions of them only exist in this universe, and you're never going to see them again. I still appreciated that they did that and sort of gave a bit of emotionalness to the show, even though it's, you know, Marvel Zombies.
when the show started and it's Kate, Kamala, and Wee Riri, I was like, okay, these are gonna be our main three. Maybe one of them dies along the way, and it'll be like this big emotional, like now we really have to finish the journey. And then just halfway through season one, especially when it's what Captain Marvel, she shoots that trick arrow at, and she's like, shit. And then she's vaporized. That's when I was like, ah,
Yeah, I
this show's
know.
gonna have
I
some
was like,
fucking
ah,
teeth to
funny
it.
confetti.
Hmm.
And then she got vaporized.
Yeah. And then Riri is just left to die. She sacrificed herself. I was like, this, all right, people are gonna fucking die left and right in this.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised, and especially the way episode two opens, because I feel like we get the Blade stuff and then not a lot more happens in episode one. But the way season two starts with Shang-Chi, I really like seeing the initial outbreak. That was actually kind of fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, especially like, yeah, it's not just zombies. Like, of course, the lab, some crazy stuff happens
Hmm.
there. Zombies are growing big. I felt like I was watching, those like mobile ads where
Yes.
the final episode where, it's like you have to
Hmm.
go through the numbers and then shoot the giant zombie. That's why I sort of felt like I was watching one of those.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The final episode's battle was like they're just killing people and then suddenly like they're just gonna throw some coins on the ground and
yeah,
fail
yeah,
before.
exactly. And then you build a wall and then they break
Yeah.
down the wall. But also think that they did a good job of just to touch on the Captain Marvel thing, building out, and also the Shang-Chi thing, building out the world exists outside of the characters that we see. Like the
Hmm.
Valley of the Broken Gods thing, that just happens, and then they leave, and then that's just still going on. They're perpetually fighting. You know what I mean? It's not like everything that
Yeah.
they run into is like fight. A lot of it is them running into Black Widows, the city on the sea, all that stuff. But like, the stuff with the Pym particles, that just happens. Maybe that's a whole
Hmm.
different story to be told. Valley of the Broken Gods is a whole different story to be told. I don't mind if those stories aren't told because I just sort of like this ability to imagine what's going on in this world with all of your characters. If they are told that and told well, I wouldn't mind that either. I just think they did a good job of, yeah, you feel like these characters exist in the world, and there's some things they just can't do. They can't solve all the problems.
Yeah.
I mean, the big twist, the Nova Corps, is that's just like, yeah, that's just the
That was in my
way
notes
the
to
world
talk about.
exists. You know what I
That
mean? The
after
characters can't do
spending,
everything. They're sort of
yeah.
trying to survive in this broken world, and it's not like everything they run into is either fighting them or helping them. Some things just happen and they're beneath that notice. And
Hmm.
that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I really, especially I'd heard about potential season two plans before this came out, or before I watched it, I should say. So I was really like hearing that the Nova Corps and getting this message was going to be the thing. And I was going to talk about it later, but I'll say it now. The A potential thing for season two, one of the writers came out and was like, I'd love to see like the Guardians and the Nova
Well,
Corps
that's what I
come
thought
to
would show up when they
Earth.
first were like, we need to call these Nova Corps. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to show up.
Yeah. So when they said that, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to spend the thing, and then maybe everyone dies at the end trying to get this message out. But the reveal that like the Nova Corps has built this bubble around them and is quarantining the planet, I was like, ah, shit, this is not going to end well. Like, we're not fixing the Earth on this one.
Yeah. And then they just don't,
Yeah.
which is what, yeah, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, well, first, I said we go in order. I said we go in order. We talked about some of the Valley of the Broken God stuff, the Black Widow stuff, uh the Nova Corps stuff, the big obvious thing that you and I both agree that I think they could have had another episode for Infinity Hulk.
Hmm. Yeah, the whole thing with Thanos and then the Infinity Hulk, I would have loved to see that fleshed out over a full
Yeah.
episode instead of like half of one.
Yes, I agree. Instead of sort of feeling like a backstory Peter Parker voiceover, although I don't mind a good Peter Parker voiceover.
Yeah, well, the guy who's voicing Peter Parker in this is pretty good. That is not
Yeah.
Tom Holland.
No, no.
They could not rip him away from Zendaya to come record some Marvel Zombies.
Um, but the one thing I'll say is I've been seeing a lot of stuff, people complaining that Infinity Hulk is like too is nerfed. He's not good enough. He should have been able to break open the earth with his bare hands and then eaten the celestial that's
Interesting.
inside the earth.
Maybe.
Anyway, I just want to say that's all bullshit, okay? You complain about power scaling and someone not being as cool as they were in the comics. Just enjoy the good story, man. There was some cool animation. Infinity Hulk was badass. I thought they scaled it well. He was punching people left and right.
Yeah, I mean, he gets overrun at a certain point, but also it's kind of like 100 men versus one gorilla, isn't it? Because there were so
Exactly.
many zombies
Exactly.
in one Infinity Hulk.
All they have to do is sort of get onto him and
Hmm.
bite him and whatever. And I don't know.
And they started
I
like
just
tearing
think
him
that
up.
whenever people are like, "Oh, this guy should be more powerful" or whatever, maybe, but like people in every single different comic, it's not consistent.
No.
You know, Spider-Man like fights Thanos and then like struggles against Vulture. It
Hmm.
just it obviously doesn't scale because you're trying to tell a good story, not be consistent between different writers. You know, decades apart in different comics and different art styles. So I just want to clear the air on that one. I
Yeah.
think that you know, also it's a different universe. That's their excuse. That's how they get away with it. Maybe it's anyway. I just don't think you need to find a reason for it, to be honest, because you can just be like, yeah, I enjoyed the story.
Yeah, I thought
You
it
know,
was good. I will say the one thing I know we've talked about
maybe
like
maybe you
add an
should cut that
extra
out because
episode.
everyone's gonna be mad at me that I said that.
No, I
I
want
lied.
everyone to be mad at you.
Infinity Hulk should have, like I said, broken open the earth and then squashed Wanda's head in his hands and then I don't know, flown off and
No, I want everyone to be mad at you.
oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I would say the one thing that like I feel like that beginning thing with Thanos, especially since this is a what if spinoff, should have been the start of the show and then we cut to the journey. And so when we meet up with Peter and Scott later on, it's like, oh shit, okay, we're back and we're doing things we've been planning.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of stuff wasn't explained. Like
Hmm.
they're flying up before they meet the Nova Corps, and they're like, "Oh, this is the fallout from the Wakanda event."
Yeah.
And then you get what the Wakanda event is. I guess a huge release of energy controlled by Hulk. But I totally agree. I think that although I like that it wasn't just zombies, they had some other stuff going on, which makes it feel like a world that exists, right?
Hmm.
More than just zombies and our characters fighting zombies. But I think they could have, if they're making this pivot to Infinity Hulk and stopping Wanda from doing this stuff, they could have fleshed that out a little bit more. So maybe not an extra episode at the end, but an extra episode in the middle
Yeah.
or something.
I feel
They're
like if
trying to do
they,
three timelines, right? They're trying to
hmm
do, you know, Kamala Khan, Shang-Chi and gang, and
and
also
gang.
Ant-Man and Spider-Man. But they sort of talked a lot about Kamala Khan, a bit about Shang-Chi, and then kind of ran out of time by the time they
Hmm.
got to Spider-Man and Ant-Man and just had them not Doctor Strange. I keep calling him Doctor Strange.
It's because he's wearing the cape. No,
It's
it's
because he's wearing the
Scott
cape, and
Lang.
also they didn't,
Well, it's in the what if episode. That's what I'm saying. I feel
both
like
Doctor Strange and Scott Lang have brown hair. And maybe I'm
true.
face blind. All right.
Like
Where's
the
my
guy,
disability accommodation on this podcast, huh?
like the guy in Peacemaker who's bird blind.
I'm like the guy in Peacemaker's bird blind. I just can't tell the difference between Doctor Strange and
Why didn't you tell
Scott
us he
Lang.
had a duck? Like an
Anyway,
eagle.
can you just like, if I just say, ready? Ant-Man, and then you sort of put that
Really poorly sliced it
every
in.
time I just said Ant-Man, you sort of place that over it, sort of intersperse those so no one gets suspicious.
No, I'll do the Ant-Man one and then I'll keep this explanation in so people are like, "Oh, okay." It'll be like when randomly there's an Infinity Hulk in the in the show. It's all tied
Randomly,
in.
there's an Infinity Hulk in your Marvel Zombie show.
Yeah, I feel like putting the Infinity Hulk thing at the beginning, you don't even need to reveal it's Hulk. Just something is keeping everything in check. You can reveal it's Hulk later, but I feel like doing the whole like Wanda wants his power thing really would have given the show some more urgency. Because honestly, it just felt like Wanda was chasing him about the world for a minute, and then it's like, oh, okay, we actually were trying to do some shit.
Yeah, they don't make it super clear why she needed Kamala. I would have liked that. You just have sort of
Yeah,
vague dream sequences, which I guess makes sense for Kamala being confused, but as the audience, I would have liked a bit more. I agree.
yeah. But um, yeah, this was really good. I think Wanda was good in it. Like Shang-Chi was good in it. The honestly, most of the gang dying was kind of tough. Pretty much everyone in this dies, honestly, except Kamala.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh dang, she made the right choice.
Hmm.
Crazy that Wanda was right all along. Spoiler
Except
alert.
maybe
Final
it wasn't.
spoiler alert. It wasn't.
No.
She fucked up, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I
I think it
really
tells a
want to
good
see how
story.
that goes. I am excited for a season two on this with that whole Riri calling for her and being like, I think I got through. I want to see what happened.
Yeah.
But real quick, before we'll try and wrap it up here. We've been rambling for zombies for a second here.
I think it's you been doing the rambling. I have
Yes,
very
yeah,
short
me
responses to
100% who's been
everything
doing that.
to say.
I want to talk about how this was received real quick. Very well. This like people are really loving this. They're loving the characters. They're like What If has always done kind of well, and I think this was the perfect kind of thing to spin off of What
It's
If.
crazy set because literally the only thing I've seen online is people complaining about Infinity Hulk, which is why I brought it up. So maybe I just have a slightly more toxic social media and I only see the hate
No,
and you see the joy in TV.
I see people actually having fun, and you're on that TV hate community who
I'm on
just
that Lex Luthor grind.
yeah, just hating. You're just kidnapping people's dogs for the hell of it. Um, yeah, no, I've seen like
Can't
really
be proven
positive
to court of law.
reception. I think I have seen the Infinity Hulk people being like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" But that's kind of the only thing I've seen. What I really see people doing is glazing Blade Moon Knight, which is earned, I think.
Yeah, that was sick, man. No, I like that.
I hope Marvel sees that and they're like, "Oh, we should actually make that Blade movie we told everyone we were gonna make." Because I just want to see it. I just want to see it.
Wait, there's one last thing. It was the only plot hole that took me out the movie.
Okay.
Red Guardian gets bit by Captain America.
Oh yeah, yeah, it does.
It's like they put that sound effect in there, and then he's fine, and then he like eats all the fingers and is fine for a while, and then turns into a zombie. At first, I was like, when he ate the fingers and he was fine, I was like, wait, is he immune or something? But like, if it's a super soldier serum, how is Cap a zombie? You know?
Maybe he got the off-brand version.
Mm.
He got the Timu version that like fucked him up normally but saved him abnormally for a
Yeah,
little
but
bit.
I was yeah, I don't know. I thought they're pretty locked in with their continuity, but I'm so sure they got bitten by Captain America zombie,
No,
and then
that
they
is interesting. I
and
hadn't
then they're
thought
just
about
like,
it
yeah,
yet.
it's like 6 months later,
Yeah.
he's fine.
Hmm. No, that is interesting because I remember thinking at the time like, damn, he got bit, but no, you're right, nothing happened off that. Huh. We should start a letter writing
And then he's
campaign to
dead. You know what I
Marvel.
mean? It's not like it got revealed later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he ate some fingers and then he
Did turn into a zombie that time. So
I do feel like that was a little fruitless the way he turned into a zombie. Like he has this grand purpose of avenging his fallen family, and he's like, I could go for a snack, and then he turns into a zombie.
yeah, but pretty solid Red Guardian characterization.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. Um, I know we commented on season two. The ending of this alludes to us getting a second season. The writers
I
have
thought it
mentioned,
didn't.
really?
I
You
didn't
think it
know a
was just
second
going to
season was
end
coming.
there?
I thought the moral of the story was just like, yeah, this world is fucked, which is like the moral of every single zombie Marvel zombie story. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, the world is fucked, or like, yeah, this civilization will barely survive, but we're moving you on to a different universe, and that universe is fucked. So I was just like, yeah, okay, that's an average Marvel Zombies story. The world is fucked.
And if it ends
That's
there,
pretty
I think
deep.
I'm
I
fine
guess they
with
can
it.
do that because it's another universe. So this news that they're getting a second season is news to me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think numbers wise, Marvel loves greenlighting second seasons. So, but, and you're right, it does kind of like, I could see it ending there. I think people would be upset because most people don't get the nuance of that. They're just like, ooh, more story to tell. But
Most people don't get the nuance of the Marvel Zombie show. Then,
most people don't get the nuance of Marvel.
um,
Um, man,
sorry.
um, no, I feel like this will get a second season because honestly, just off of the back of it doing well, Marvel will probably push something out. And like I said, one of the writers has said like I'd love to see the Guardians and everyone come to Earth and be like, "Ooh, this is fucked," and kind of experience that. And I'd like to see it personally. Plus, I want to see what that cliffhanger did.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up here. We didn't really talk about Wanda. She's fine. She's doing some mind control shit. And
I
I,
don't know. I think she sort of serves as a backbone for, or
yeah,
a boogeyman for Kamala. Not backbone of the show. I mean, a sort of boogeyman for Kamala's insecurities. Like
yeah,
that's her job, is to
all
sort
right.
of tell the audience this is what Kamala Khan is insecure about
Yeah, she
as
was
a
fine.
plot point. But yeah, she did her job to do that
Yeah,
and won. But other than that, she was just the Wanda. We've seen Wanda be evil before. This was no big what if surprise.
yeah,
I mean, it was a what if episode, was Wanda being evil. So I was just like, yeah, okay. She mind controls. Okay. But I did like how yeah, I like the use of her in freaking Kamala Khan out.
mm,
Because it was like a mind game, basically, that she won in the end. But it's cool that it wasn't just all. There was lots of punching. There was some sick punching, but
yeah,
the real battle was that, and
yeah.
that I thought it was good.
I thought it was good. We had a lot more to say on this than I thought we would.
Well, you had a lot more to say on this than I thought we would.
Yeah, yeah,
You were the one who
I
was
did.
talking the whole
I
time.
did, yeah. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about Tron Ares, a movie that I'm.
I have to watch Tron Ares.
Yeah, buddy, you gotta watch Tron Ares.
Man,
To prep for it, I actually have never seen the first two Tron movies, and I went back and I watched them.
okay.
They're pretty good.
Well,
They're pretty good if you get the nuance of computers.
if you get the nuance of the Tron movies.
They're pretty good. I'm excited
So
for it.
the discs that kill people are metaphors for.
For glitches or something, and they're codes, they're programs.
Anyway,
Um, it was pretty good. So if you like this, you can check out more of these episodes. Did you know this is episode Alex 15? The last
wow.
movie run. We've done all sorts of these.
That is kind of crazy. Are we famous yet? When do I get
No,
my disability paycheck for my face blindness?
Carrie, you're never getting disability stuff, and we will just harass you for your face blindness. There's nothing more American than harassing you for having a disability. If you like this, you can go watch other episodes of it. There's a podcast we do called Trading Paperbacks. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we will be back. Bye. Hey everyone, welcome back to Hit or Miss. This week we're talking about Back to the Future, the 1980 classic. Alex, did you know 40 years ago Back to the Future came out, and now it's getting plopped right back in theaters?
That's great. I didn't know there was any theaters near me. I'll have to take a look.
I bet it's not in any theaters near you. It's only theaters next to my house. So yeah, we're talking about Back to the Future this week. This is, I know it's called hit or miss, but sometimes we're just gonna do things that were hits.
Yeah. Josh isn't making us watch all the Miss movies.
I'm not. I think I'd lose my mind if we had to watch only misses. So Alex, it's been out for 40 years, but what are some things you like about the story or some things you don't like? Maybe you hated this. I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't know when I was coming on this I was gonna take you some hot takes. Back to the Future sucks. No, I mean I really like the movie. Can I ask you the question? So we'll be like, Josh, what are some things that you liked about Back to the Future?
Well, I love that Doc Brown had all the options in the world and he chose probably the worst car ever made to make his time machine out.
Whoa, that's what you're starting with?
Yeah, I'll start off
You're
rip. This
opening with this, and that's your like? Okay.
and keep in mind, this is my favorite movie. This
I don't know if I can be honest. You're gonna get hate.
know that like look, the DeLorean's awesome and iconic, but as someone who likes cars, the DeLorean is maybe the worst car you could ever
Okay.
buy.
Okay.
Yeah. To get that straight so I don't get canceled for saying the DeLorean is stupid. No, John DeLorean designed a horrifyingly terrible automobile, but damn it, it looked cool. So of course Robert Zemeckis and the two Bobs, as they're known, were like, what if we just smack some shit in there and said it's a time machine? Great choice. But
I still
yeah,
think it should have been the little bus thing that the terrorists pull up in when they're shooting Doc Brown at the beginning of the movie.
you think the time machine should have been the Volkswagen bus?
Yeah. And then, it's like 23 miles an hour or something like that that they have to get to.
It's just they hit the gas and it's immediately they're time traveling.
Well, I just imagine that the Volkswagen bus doesn't go 88 miles an hour, so it's sort of tamping down our limits.
That's um look, the story of this it's iconic. Do we really need to cover the story of Back to the Future? A man is about to get shot by terrorists,
He
go
does
back
get shot
to
by
the future
terrorists,
to the
to be clear.
past. You're right, Doc Brown just dies. Spoiler alert for the 40-year-old movie. Doc Brown dies at the beginning. Um a boy who's about to die from terrorists goes back in time, meets his mom. His mom falls in love with him. His dad's a creep, and he has to get those two together. Probably against his better judgment, knowing his dad's a super creep, but he's like, I'm not going to
Yeah,
survive.
there's a lot of sort of 80s is this okay to talk about or to joke about or the story to tell? Um and it's like, yeah, I guess so, but the dad being a creep and him kissing his mom.
Well, funny you should say that they were like, is this okay? Because it took like ages for this movie to get picked up by a studio because everyone kept reading the script and they were like, are you sure about this? This is what you
Really?
want
I
to
didn't know
do?
that.
Yeah, so this movie apparently was almost made by Disney. It's a Universal film, but this was almost picked up by Disney. They did so many rewrites of the script to appease studio heads, but Disney asked for a rewrite and they did it. And what they produced for Disney was the final cut of the movie. And after Disney asked them for this rewrite, Disney said, actually, we're not crazy about this whole mom Marty subplot.
Yeah, what did they take out to make it more palatable for audiences if what they end up with is mom, son, like
Well, I can tell you that they took a bunch of stuff out of this. They stripped some of the romantic subplots. They stripped, I think some of the language was cut back. They changed the time machine for one. I'm not sure you've ever heard this. The time machine was not originally going to be a terrible car in the
it was
DeLorean.
going to be a hot tub.
It was going to be a refrigerator
A refrigerator?
that they would get in and a nuclear blast would drop behind it and hurl it into the past or the future.
Intentionally? Or it's just
Yes,
they just have to find a nuclear blast every time?
I guess.
Man, we should go back in time and fund this movie before Disney gets their hands on it.
But but let me ask you this. Does surviving a nuke in a refrigerator sound at all familiar to you?
Um, I think I might have heard it somewhere. Yes, obviously Indiana Jones.
Yeah, so when making Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Spielberg was like, we almost did this thing in the 80s. Want to just do that shit again?
What? It came from Back to the Future?
Yes, that whole sequence was pretty much reused. from the Back to the Future ideas. And good thing they took it out because that was the shit in Crystal Skull where people were like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now? He survived in a nuclear blast in a lead-lined refrigerator." But they took it out at the time because they were like, kids are gonna lock themselves in refrigerators, huh? We can't we can't just put that in. They're
Yeah, I
gonna
mean, it probably would work, right?
if little 8-year-old you saw Back to the Future and he is hurled
You're
into the
talking about
future.
little 8-year-old me. I'm talking about me now. I think you're right. It's probably not viable. But if, I just saw a bright flash of light on the horizon, what else am I gonna do? I have a too small fridge, but, you know, I can get an arm in there.
You cramming yourself into the mini fridge to go to the past. Um,
I just mean
yeah,
it's sort of, oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that they didn't want, like the washing machine thing in Lilo and
yes.
Stitch. They didn't want kids putting themselves in refrigerators to try and go to the past.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought you were saying was that they didn't want to teach people that a fridge could protect you from a nuclear blast when it can't, when they're making this in Cold War-ish times.
No, they're
So,
thinking kids are just kind of like, oh, they'll see things and do that. Not that people are just stupid.
oh. Well, to be clear, I was saying that for a very long time, I believed that a fridge was what would stop a nuclear blast.
Okay. So you were one of the idiots in question.
Well, I didn't think it would send me back in time. I guess because they didn't put it in that part of the movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Um
I would have been locking myself in a refrigerator.
well, fridges at that time had like the lock handle. So it's not
Oh,
like
I
now
see.
where you could just push it because it's got the little gasket
Yeah.
seal. So there was genuine concern of like, kids are going to freeze to get to death trying to travel back to the past.
Okay.
So they took that out. But otherwise, yeah, that was the story they sold to Disney, turned around and they were like, actually, never mind. But Universal picked it up, and it's because they were gonna do it, and then one of the executives turned around and was like, actually, we don't have the script. So they went to the company that did have it, who just so happened to be now run by the executive who greenlit Back to the Future. So they got it made through some coincidences. Honestly, it's amazing this shit ever made it to theaters. I mean,
So if it was tossed around between studios a whole bunch. What was the audience reception like when it first came out? Was it also sort of weird?
well, it's going back into the theaters for its 40th anniversary, so it was pretty good.
Yeah, I
Um,
know, but there's movies that come out and everyone's like, yeah, it sucks, and then 5, 10 years later it becomes like a cult classic.
oh, a hidden gem talked about years later. No, this
Yeah.
was not it. This was immediately like, holy shit, this is phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah,
And Disney was like, what we could have had.
yeah. Marty McFly could have been a Disney princess, but we'll never have that now. And but check this out. We almost never had Michael J. Fox's Marty McFly. Have you heard this?
I know.
Wow, you don't know anything about Back to the Future.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't research the history specifically for the 40th
I
anniversary.
knew this beforehand.
Okay. Well, I was locking myself some fridges, so.
Okay. um,
Well, you were researching Michael J. Fox.
you were sitting in a refrigerator.
Yes.
So yeah, we almost Eric Stoltz was originally cast as Marty McFly, and he read the script and was like, "Oh, this is a tragedy. Like he's coming back to a future that isn't his. He's stuck in the past. To like, so he played everything very down and dreary. But the directors, Bob Zemeckis, originally wanted Michael J. Fox, but he was busy filming a show no one gives a shit about anymore, Family Ties. So they turned around and filmed for a couple months with Eric Stoltz and
With depressed Marty McFly.
with a depressed Marty McFly, and they were like, "Oh, this shit's like it's not working. Oh, it's really not fucking working." So they fired him and went back to Michael J. Fox, and they were like, "How do we make this work?" And basically, he would film Family Ties during the day, get in the car, drive out to the set, which actually is still like you could see it at Universal Orlando. It's the same set, side tangent. And he would film overnight for Back to the Future and then go back in the morning to film Family Ties. So the only
Wow,
times he was sleeping were like in the car.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So that's why when you see most of like the mall scene, it's at night. There's a lot of scenes in this that are filmed
Yeah.
at night, and that's because at the time he's going back and forth, and then Family Ties wraps, and he does the rest of the movie. But he, Marty McFly, was very nearly very depressed and very Eric Stoltz.
Yeah. I mean, I think it could work. I think they should release the Stoltz cut.
The
He's
Stoltz
all.
cut would be like 30 minutes because they just fired him.
Oh man, I have to kiss my mom.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, man. And of course, do touch on the rest of the cast. Crispin Glover, the guy who plays the dad, famously apparently just sucked on set.
Really, as an individual.
Like as just a man, he was just terrible. Which is why when they do the family scene in the second movie, he's hung upside down. That's not actually Crispin Glover. They did not ask him to return.
Wow.
And real quick, Christopher Lloyd is, of course, iconic and frankly looks like he should be dead by now, but is still kicking. And Leah Thompson is great as his mom and looks real old in that old makeup at the beginning. Also, real quick before we get into the budget and stuff, this movie was almost called Spacemen from Mars.
Wait, I didn't realize that it was her in makeup at the beginning.
You thought she was just old for 5 minutes and then young?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a kid when I watched it. You know what I mean? The magic of the movies worked on me. I thought it was a totally different actor.
I'm ruining that magic for you right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, she was just
Did
wearing
you
old
know when
makeup.
you watched it when you were a kid? Were you
That
like,
she was
oh,
wearing makeup? Yeah,
yeah.
because
Shit.
my IQ is about 50 points higher than
Yeah,
yours.
can we not release this one where I'm just looking more and more like an idiot?
Um, yeah, no, she's just wearing some old makeup. Christopher Lloyd's wearing makeup to age him up at the beginning because he's supposed to be, 30 years older than he is in the rest of the movie. Think, 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 Mark. Yeah, the movie was almost called Spacemen from Mars. You think that would have slapped?
Does it have Spaceman from Mars? Like, was that part of the original plot? They're the ones who
Remember?
dropped the nuke.
No,
It's all coming together.
no. Remember when he first lands in the past and he kills that one pine to make the mall name different?
Yeah,
And
that
he
one
gets on
sort
the
of
thing and
throwaway joke to demonstrate that he can
yeah,
change the future by his actions.
he lands in the thing and they think he's an alien.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
he's also an alien again to sort of make his dad
Mm-hmm.
be cool.
Yeah, he's Darth Vader for a second.
So for those two scenes, they were
Yeah.
gonna
So
name
a
the movie.
movie exec emailed them and because they're seeing the dailies of what they're shooting. They're like, this
Where
is
are you getting all
great.
these facts from?
They just popped. I
Maybe
had a dream.
you had a dream.
I had a dream and all these facts came to
You
me.
looked into your bowl of Cheerios and it was like
It started spilling my SpaghettiOs, started
Spaceman from
spilling it.
Mars.
Yeah. No, a movie exec was seeing all the all the dailies and he said, "Look, this is great, but we need to change the name. I think Spacemen from Mars or maybe it was Spacemen from Pluto." Ooh, fun. What was it called? What was it called? Spacemen from Pluto. I was wrong. That's my bad.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was almost originally called Spacemen from Pluto
It was still a
because
planet back then, I think.
it was still a planet back then.
Mm.
But a movie exec saw the dailies of what they're doing and basically said, "Hey, this is great, but we got to change the name. I think Spacemen from Pluto would be great." And the directors went to Spielberg, who they got to produce this. It's an Amblin Entertainment thing, which is his company. And they went to Spielberg. They said, "Look, we're glad they like it, but we cannot change the name to Spaceman from Pluto." And Spielberg went and wrote an email in response, typed it out to the exec. He goes, Hey, we're glad you're really liking it. Also, thanks for the joke at the end of that. Everyone got a big laugh about spacemen from Pluto. Keep them coming. And apparently, they never heard anything about Spaceman from Pluto again.
That's crazy.
So, uh, big ball move from Spielberg to embarrass an executive so hard he dropped the whole idea. Frankly, you should be doing that. When they say, "Alex, can you do this for me?" And you're like, "Hey, just to let you know, everyone got a great big laugh when you asked me to do that."
Yeah,
And
I'm sure.
they'll
I'm
never
sure. I'm
ask
sure
you to
my
do
bosses
anything
will
again.
love that.
Yeah. You get fired after like the fifth time you do it. Like, all right, we know you just don't want to work. But Alex, check this out. How much money do you think it cost to make Back to the Future? In 1980, how much do you think it cost? Or the ADs?
I'm gonna say, do I look like super out of touch if I get it wrong? I wasn't alive then. How was I supposed to know what money is worth?
Just take a guess.
I'm gonna say $10 million.
Honestly, close. It was 19.
Okay, okay, that's pretty good.
And on a
No, what I
budget,
did is I took the quote from the Naked Gun 2 and divided by 4. That's my little math in my head.
it's genius.
Also, I can't remember. I think you said the Naked Gun 2 made like $40 million, $43 million. It was
Yeah,
like
that was
weeks
like
ago.
2 months ago. I don't remember how much money that shit made.
Okay. Anyway, that's the number I had in my head. I divided by 4. But you can sort of you can cut everything I just said out because the math that I just described is also stupid. I gotta lock in. I can't be making I can't be making myself look like a fool yet again. So what
Um,
you do is you take 2 plus 2.
so on a budget of $19 million, which only 19 million for all these effects is crazy, but also the fire effects a little wonky, isn't it? When the car goes and he straps his
Yeah,
dog into
or
a
the looking at
fucking
his
rocket.
hand as it disappears.
Yeah. So, but it was pretty good for the day. But $19 million, Alex has turned a profit of $223 million.
What is that like until now?
No, that was at the time.
But movie tickets were what, 50 cents?
In the 80s,
I don't know.
we should go back to the past and
Wait, let me
investigate.
just let me do some math again. Movie tickets are to what, like $10 today. Divide that by 4. I'm gonna say movie ticket was 250.
I should ask my dad how
And
much were movie
then
tickets.
they sold. Okay, I guess that's reasonable.
The typical movie ticket costs between $2.70 and $3.90.
Shit, I was off. I think I was close enough that we can chalk that up to win for Smart Alex.
Oh, all right. So
Anyway,
basically,
that's pretty. That is a pretty big
a
success.
lot of people went to see that. Yeah, big profit. We got the two sequels off the back of it that were not originally planned, I don't think. They were just kind of going to fly off into
Were
the
2 and 3 both playing at the same time, or was it
two
2
and three
because
did. They
successive
filmed
one,
at the same
3?
time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think that was initially in the books. Like they had this one story written, and it's a big success. And they're like, okay, we should do another one. And then they were like, well, let's make it a trilogy. And they filmed them back to back.
Hmm.
Uh,
And somehow they worked, unlike most times when the studio has great success off of a single movie that they planned
yeah, I mean, to
and
me,
then end
this
up
is
making another.
maybe the best movie trilogy ever made. Will I get flack for that? Probably not. I think it's a pretty fair thing. Um,
Except you hate the DeLorean. Get
except
him.
I hate the
Get
DeLorean.
him
If they'd made it that big ass train from the third movie right off rip, would
from
have
the
been
beginning.
would have been perfect. Yeah,
Doc
from the
Brown makes proper infrastructure in the 1980s so this train can go where it needs to go.
yeah. Also, the little kid from the third movie, his kid at the very end. Have you ever seen that he's a massive pervert?
What? Really?
Yeah, no, like in that scene, you could see him doing like this to the Jennifer, and he points at his crotch.
What? Like the actor slipped into that movie?
Yeah, yeah, and he's like 8,
Oh my
little
God, man.
kid. Yeah, but yeah, that's all we got. So let us know if you think this was a hit or a miss. I'd love to read the comment that says this movie sucked. If you like this video and want more, then you can check out the podcast it is technically a part of, The Last Movie Run, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can find the full audio of this, as well as other stuff like our comic book podcast, Trading Paperbacks, our shorts and reels, there. So we will see you all next time where we don't cover Fantastic Four or Silver Surfer like we said in the last one. We'll
As
never get
always,
to it.
oh yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.